are you? Meeting to order, work session for February 24th, 2025. First, we will need the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Oh, sorry.
I'd like to add on there to discussion about community garden on there, man, on the agenda.
That was for the board meeting.
Well, we had to change it. The work session probably better for it. We get more dialogue here, I'm thinking. It'll work a little bit better if that's okay.
Agreed.
And I guess that will go into number 4. Session number 5.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Favor? Motion passes. New business. Budget and retreat and planning discussion. Staff?
Mr. Mayor, so what I've got is every commissioner should have received an email containing 5 questions. Those questions are in regard to the budget and what these questions would do. I've prepared these questions just to kind of help me better understand what your expectations are as I navigate through this budget development process. And so the way I like for this to flow is I'll just go through each question, and if we could just go around the room and just have each commissioner answer that question, and then at that time I'll take this information back to Dream Builders, and they can evaluate that information as they help us develop this budget. And so the first question is, what aspects of past budget processes have been most effective? And we can start with Commissioner Baxter. That's okay.
Thank you, Manager Todd. So for me, one of the things that I have found to be most beneficial is to hear from the department heads about what their priorities are for the next year, how those priorities kind of fit into our strategic goals and our future planning. And then I know that sometimes there is a little bit of a difference between the desired budget and then the recommended budget, but I do like seeing both of those. I'd like to see all the asks and then what was decided upon for the recommended budget, just so that I have an idea of what the prioritizations of the projects are and what we might have to look forward to in the future as far as like capital projects, et cetera, even if they are not currently in the recommended budget for that year.
Got it. Thank you, Commissioner. Mm-hmm. Mr. Miles?
Pretty much what you just said, the kind of same thing. I think we had that with the experience of what we've, in the past 3 that I've done, that pretty much would have worked well. Each department bringing it before. Last year, I think the previous town manager brought it well with a series. Each work session, we had the department come in, kind of articulate what they were looking for, expectations according to the goals, and kind of go from there. So it's pretty much the same thing. Yes, sir.
Something that to incorporate, say if a department asks for XYZ priority, and if they have any way of maybe alternative funding, or how they, if it's not funded this way, then can it be funded another way? Something like possibility of a grant or some kind of other resource.
Thank you, sir.
The process that's been the most effective for me would be getting the budget in different sections at different times so that we can not take it all in at once, but having the opportunity to look at it in smaller chunks before we look at it as one big thing. That's been most work.
Pretty much what you said, the same thing, that one by one. Yeah. Digest it like that.
Needs to inform the same thing as the budget progress. So we can, y'all don't want to hear it. Meetings to inform as the budget process is progressing.
Got it.
You know, different ones.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't think I have much thing different to offer. I feel the same way. Just having the presentations from each department head that explains to us their focus, their needs, their priorities, as long as they're related to the strategic plan. I also like the ability to have one-on-one discussions with some of the department heads at times we need to break further information down outside of the meetings. So yeah, continuation of the presentations that we've done before.
Thank you.
I would like to just agree with that, but expound a little bit more. Certainly, when we have our one-on-one meetings, it's always helpful to kind of hear the process as it is developing from the earlier stages on, just so that we have like a heads up of what might enter into the actual budget.
I had a follow-up. I know Commissioner Baxter said, like to hear from department heads what their priorities are and how they fit into strategic goals. And then you, Commissioner Baxter, or Commissioner Davis had mentioned alignment with the strategic plan. And I just wanted to be really clear here that, are you guys looking for alignment with strategic plan, or do you see strategic goals as a little bit broader?
I see our strategic plan and our goals as kind of like our broader guiding principle that we try to adhere to. I understand that not everything is going to align specifically with the budget, and we also need to revisit what our strategic goals are, because I think that as we've progressed even from 2017, we need to kind of shift a little bit. But so it doesn't necessarily have to be like small town feel, like, I mean, because not everything is going to fall into one of those buckets, but just having an understanding, I believe, as to why whatever project that's coming before us is important for how we move forward, and not just this is what we need and this is what we want. I think that gives us a little bit better direction and understanding, like what we need to do as far as improvements on the campus itself and around town, but also when we're doing, like, especially with economic development, I suspect that we're going to have a shifting of kind of like priorities, or at least percentages. I think that we're going to be seeing a larger percentage go into our economic development realm as we move forward. So just understanding why that is, why are the asks being made, is very helpful. Did that answer your question a little bit?
It did, and I just wanted to make sure I was catching that nuance, because I know that it is the case that the strategic plan might not be all-encompassing of what this board considers as strategic goals.
Right.
So it might be good for us to establish what those strategic goals are, so then if that's what you're truly looking for, then we make sure it aligns with those goals. And like you said, not necessarily limit ourselves by those 3 priorities of the strategic plan. Okay, all right.
For our discussions later on, especially when we start talking regarding the retreat. Obviously, this is a new board. As she said, this was 2017. We're now in 2024. Our town looks completely different. So our vision is going to be different. Not that it's going to steer completely away, but
It's 2025.
2025.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so just looking forward to further discussions of what they look like, even the needs of the department. That might reflect differently than what we even recognize.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next question is, where do you see the greatest opportunities for improvement in the budget process, and what specific changes would you suggest?
Did you want me to start? Okay. So for me, I know that staff starts the budgeting process far earlier, at least in the past, they've started the budget process far earlier than what the board has been looped in on. And when we do finally start receiving all of that information, sometimes it is a little bit overwhelming, because we're receiving so much and we haven't kind of like had a chance to digest it along the way. So for me, having an understanding of the budget asks earlier, just being involved in the process a little bit earlier would be very helpful. And so what I also had for this section is a little bit of what the mayor touched on. And while I realize that not everything is going to have an alternate funding opportunity, there are grants that we should be looking at for certain objectives, and that needs to be part of the budgeting process as well. For some of these, they're going to be we're going to need matching funds if the grant is awarded. And not everything that we apply for is going to get awarded, but I think that we need to start thinking in those terms as well, like where outside of our tax base, whether it is strategic partnerships or grant funding or whatever, where's the money coming from that we're going to be chasing? And if we don't happen to realize, let's say it's a grant funding, like, are we going to continue with that project? Are we going to still fund it but out of a different pot, and what that looks like? That would be helpful.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ma?
For me, one of the improvements, I think, kind of what she said also, get it earlier in the process. The earlier we can, the better off it's going to be. So by the time end of June, we're ready to rock and roll with that. One thing I would like to admit, somehow we can do more community engagement. A little bit, it's the people's money that we're spending. I want to figure out how we can get a little bit more community engagement than we've done in the past. I think that'll be good for me.
Kind of in the lines of Commissioner Miles there, more, an increase probably in work sessions as far as a budget calendar is concerned, and just identify what each one of those meetings will be specific to. I know budget process is a long drawn out, but I think the more meetings we have pertaining to certain topics, the more clarity.
I had some similar to what Commissioner Baxter said about different funding sources. There are a lot of projects that we need and that we have, but there's so much federal grant or just grant money in general out there. And to just see us, so within the process of the budget and when we receive the information, I would like to see, like, are there other sources of funding for these specific ones? Like, what specific projects can we possibly go out for different funding for? And that might take another body to get that information. But yeah, I would at least like to see like some kind of, I have a coded something to say like this possible that this could be money from somewhere, but just something so that we know that there are other options other than taxpayers' money right now.
I sort of go along with Mayor York. I think maybe having more meetings and presenting the budget in not too many together, too many departments, so that we can really invest, check it out and know what we're doing.
I actually share the same sentiments as far as not being overloaded with information in one work session. Sometimes it is, I know for me, it was a little overwhelming to try to listen to multiple departments at one time. You're trying to get as much information as you can in a very small time frame, so it feels overwhelming and daunting. But again, that was going back to what I said earlier, the ability to have one-on-one conversations with the department heads that can break that down more. And I also had notes for just making it more engaged for our community as a whole. I understand that our department heads, our directors lead that department, but just ensuring that this also meets the needs of their staff and that they feel that they're inclusive in regarding what the budget looks like as well. Because what we do reflects on them and their mission of what they're doing for the town.
And may I just add that last year's budget held surprises for us, things that we had not anticipated coming before us. I would like to make sure that by the time the budget is presented, we're all very comfortable with all of the aspects of the budget.
Yeah.
I hesitate to say this because I don't want to be incriminating myself. As someone who's wrote a few grants and have been successful towards them, to the point that I think everyone's made who's talked about identifying alternate funding sources, it's not usually something that we can apply for the fiscal year budget. I just wanted to be clear. Are you guys looking for those on our capital projects? Some of those longer term multi-year projects? More?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And yes and no. Yes. Yes. But also, I know that we can't apply for one, but I would still like to know, because that could help us decide, like, should we wait? Should we try to seek this funding before we approve it, or can it be pushed to the next fiscal year? So, like, knowing that there are funds or possible funds could also help us in making decisions on what we want to move forward.
Okay.
Agreed, because, oh, go ahead.
Would would they actually automatically have to come back with like a potential source, is what you're saying? So, okay, i.e. we were gonna do the water thing, whatever out there thing. So we say that was $1 million. She could have a grant potentially say, here's what's in our budget, but I know that we possibly can get a grant for this thing. Okay. So she would bring that source at the
Yeah,
time.
just giving us more than just like, this is what, you know, we just need more options than, I'm very, okay, we can keep going. I'll see you later.
So,
No. I was gonna say that I want to be very mindful. I always try to make sure that we're mindful, and we all are, with like where we are in general fund, what we're spending, what we have. If, say, some of our biggest taxpayer businesses leave town, like, how could we operate? Do we have to cut services? All of those things. And so when I'm asking for this, I'm just ensuring that, like, we're looking at, if someone says, hey, we're leaving Zebulon next year, then we can still support ourselves with what we have and how long.
So what I hear you saying is, if, for example, there's an opportunity to fund the project, okay, let's say we came forward to you asking, hey, let's do this project this year, please fully fund it, and at the same time, we will be looking at grant sources, and if it's possible to, if we are awarded that grant, then we can roll back the general fund and reallocate it to the general fund. Is that what I'm hearing you say? So, like, propose it, put it forward, you all know that you're fully funding it, and that we will simultaneously be pursuing a grant opportunity. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then as far as multi-year goes, that's obviously a lot better that we're able to get some runway on for those larger projects.
we have not been very proactive in asking for county and state funds. And well, I mean, we have just not, that with the former,
The previous administration.
yes, our former administration, that was not something that we've lost out because we did not pursue opportunities and we did not make asks. And so I think that we definitely need to, and this is where, you know, perhaps the department heads can say, you know, like, I think that we should make an ask for this project from this entity. I mean, if Wake County is willing to, like, carry a loan for a bunch of wooden birds in Cary, I think that, you know, like, we have some projects that probably would fall under something that they would consider either funding or playing bank for.
Got it.
Okay.
All right. Next question is, how should the budget reflect our strategic goals and the community's priorities? I'll start with Commissioner Davis this time.
For this one, when you talk about our strategic goals, my mindset goes back again to the reflection of the vision of the board and the town, revisiting what it is of where we're going and where we're headed. I would like to see, and this might tie into number 2 as well for the improvement, hosting things like town halls that allow citizens to come in, you can't hear me, that allow citizens to come in, engage, so that we can figure out what exactly our goals are and the priorities of our community, and to make sure that our budget is reflecting that which we're asking for.
I agree with Amber here, but I think we need to, we keep saying we have certain goals, certain strategic goals, and then we don't ever get to them. And we need to start making some progress on some of that.
I think that might be what I was
What you were
trying to
trying to
say,
say.
that
Okay.
we don't have them, we haven't had a chance, we haven't had an opportunity,
Yeah.
especially as this board as a whole, of what those goals are,
Well-
and the reflection of hearing what our community wants at this
Right.
point, because our community looks different. It's already changed dramatically from what we had last year, you know what I mean? So this is a time to allow citizens to come and engage, and I think my first year last year and years prior, we did not have enough town halls that allowed, so citizens would come only to hear what was already being offered and not their input of what they desired. So we talk about small town, we're no longer considering a small town where we used to, so we have to take that into consideration.
And so we ought to listen to our citizens and see
citizens.
what projects we need to do or strategic plans we need to work on, because it's been stagnant and we need to do
Our
it.
job as commissioners is to listen to the citizens. Then we
Exactly.
turn around and reflect that information to you guys, and then we take that to the staff, and it trickles back.
I laughed because as soon as you said reflect, I had like just written down reflects the community. One, identifying the goals, like we need to identify those goals. That's I think would be step one. And then after we identify what those goals are, same thing, ensuring that it reflects the community's, community is saying, and ensuring that they are in fact strategic, that our goals, because we're a municipality, so our goals should be able to build on top of, or to be a step to get to where we're going. So ensuring that we are strategic about the goals that we are creating, so as, you know, next year and the year after, the goals still at least align with what we're trying to do within our town.
And can I also say, when you're using the word strategic, I want to make sure that we are strategic in how we invite the community so that it is inclusive as whole. It is not a small group that represents a small number. We are a diverse community. We have new citizens that don't know how to engage with us as much. They just got here. I know for me, coming from a bigger city, having the opportunity to go to a town hall didn't seem as inviting as it is now. But this is an opportunity for our new citizens to come in and to learn the system and learn how we operate and know that we are strategically trying to invite them. So having more communication to our community.
Mr. Mayor?
Something, you know, more reflective of information from the community. I don't think we've done this in the past as far as surveys or information.
We have.
So, let me jump in real quick. So, I've been trying to keep it, but we do have a survey that we're working on.
Okay.
Public input survey. I was going to bring that before the board, but that is something that's done. It's in the works, and it
Yeah,
will be.
goes when we talk about, you know, citizens having access and having input.
Yeah.
We should explore all avenues possible as far as getting that information out and getting a response from them via voicemail, telephone, internet, whatever. Because everybody's not going to want to come to a town hall meeting. Everybody doesn't feel comfortable getting up, expressing themselves in front of a group. So every opportunity that we can provide the citizens to have input, the library, the regional center, wherever, the community center, just off the top of my head, but yeah.
I think literally what I wrote on the exact same sentiments is the survey, kind of like really being intentional this time. Past budgets has been just kind of like we brought it to the community, didn't have as much engagement. That's going to be a factor for me this time, as much community engagement as possible. And then I second the sentiment that Commissioner Davis said as well, making sure this budget is the noise of the few don't make the decisions for the many, meaning everybody has a voice at it. That's going to be key right now. So because the same little group making it, this is what we want, this is what we want. We want everybody inclusive, so it's going to be key. Thank you.
input surveys with the different departments in the past. I think that the most robust have come out of Parks and Rec. And, but we've also had some through planning, and what we have found from time to time is that they weren't geographically relevant, and that we had people weighing in that either were from outside of, you know, the taxpayers of our community. And for example, when we ran a public input to talk about a social district, we had a ridiculous number of responses from Charlotte. And so I just want to make sure that there is a way to make sure that the people that are actually voicing their opinions live in town and, you know, are the ones that are going to benefit. As we grow and as we continue to move forward, our needs are changing. And so truly having an understanding of where folks need to see services, that's important. We should be making sure that we are always mindful that spend needs to be benefiting the community as a whole. I mean, certainly when it comes to things like if we need more office space or like we will have to address those, but the lion's share of our funding should be going to places where the community can be benefiting. And so, like we talked about earlier, not everything is going to fall underneath one of our strategic goals, but that's because maybe they need to be tweaked a little bit because, you know, we have changed quite a bit recently, and not that those goals aren't still important, but we probably have a few more that we need to add along the way. And so we just always need to make sure that our budget process is community-minded and citizen-forward.
Got it. Thank you for that. Next question is, how can staff best support the board during the budget process to ensure informed decision-making?
I'll start here. Basically, with the budget, I view it as kind of like how they say you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Can't
A
hear
little
you,
bit-
sir.
I said basically just eating this elephant one bite at a time, basically just kind of a little bit increments at a time. The more we break it down, the better it's going to be, especially for me. That I really like that. It's just a little bit of increments. We do that. It may call for more meetings or whatever it may be, but just a little bit at a time frame so we can get it. And then possibly if we have questions, as Commissioner Davis keep emphasizing, is access to those directors where we can ask, okay, what are your thoughts? Or you guys, definitely you guys could be in the room too as well. Town manager, whoever needs to be there, but we make sure we have accessibility to you guys during that process.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same agreement, you know, make it as simple as possible, break it down. If it means having additional sessions or meetings or whatever, to improve the process, yes, by all means.
Tag you it.
Commissioner Harrison.
I was waiting for you.
Special attention. That ain't name calling, you know what I'm saying?
All right. I was gonna ensuring that we're informed. Like that's kind of, we just need to be informed. I actually would like to have a better understanding of why staff wants the things that they're asking for, and in explaining like the importance or the need for it for our community, and how will it be inclusive for our community, because if we're going to put something into the budget and approve it, like I think Commissioner Mouse said earlier, we want to make sure that it's something that can benefit the entire community and not just one or two parts of our community. So ensuring that we're informed and ensuring that what we're being asked to put in the budget is a good fit for the community in whole.
Commissioner Clark?
They all say informed, but I think you can do it, keep us informed by the emails, phone calls, individual meetings, one-on-one meetings, because I think they're very important. And I guess we could be meeting with staff at the same time and get some of their ideas and understand where they're coming from.
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I agree with everybody. High-level information broken down, with the understanding that we are not subject matter experts on everything. So I agree with that. Communication with the board. I understand that for the most part, the staff has a presentation and they bring it to the board, but have an open understanding that this is a two-way discussion. So as we hear the desires and the needs of the staff and the departments, but also understanding that it is our job to yay or nay those things, and it's important for us that it reflects the desires and the needs of the community. So there's going to be some possible pushback, and I need that to be understood and open and received. That it's not just the desires of the board, but we are, again, a reflection of the needs of others in the community. So just needing it to be a two-way communication. And I think that's really it. The broken down is, like I said, high-level information broken down. And that's just a reflection of a two-way discussion.
Thank you. Commissioner Baxter?
Thank you. So I think for me, the best way that staff can support the board to make sure that we are informed during the decision-making is through our, I believe that Commissioner Clark said something about this, but through our manager meetings, I would like to see that prior to the presentation from the department head, that department head should be in on our manager meeting to kind of give us an overview of what they're going to be discussing so that we can ask questions ahead of time so that they can be addressed in the formal meeting if need be, so that all of the commissioners can hear kind of what we're thinking about, and any kind of data that needs to be gathered can be gathered prior to the presentation.
Okay, you said in the managers meeting?
Yeah, like when we meet with you, in either our two-on-ones or one-on-ones,
Okay. Got it.
prior to each portion of the budget being delivered, we should be also meeting with that department head so that we're getting the information and can start thinking about questions or ask them right then and there, so that when the presentation actually happens, we don't feel caught off guard. We've kind of had a little while to think on what questions we might have, and any questions that we do have during our meetings, information can be gathered and maybe presented to us at the actual budget presentation.
Okay.
Did I explain myself
So you're saying
clearly?
basically before a department presents at a work session, what you're saying is you'd like to have a conversation maybe in a 2x2
Right.
along with that department head and get a.
I think that would be super
of-
helpful.
Okay, got it.
I don't know if this is the right spot to put this in, but update on past budget spending and just where we are with those projects, and kind of like a timeline, a projected timeline, and is it still a priority? Because I know we had some dedicated money to some projects, and I'm not sure if, well, I know we haven't moved on some of them. Just kind of update on some of that, because citizens see that we approved X amount of money for whatever, and we really haven't seen any movement on it.
That's definitely something I can take a look into and come back and present before you.
Yeah.
What you're saying is you need to know the status of the project and the funding, how we've done, how much has been spent, how much is left, and what will roll over into the next year?
Well, if it's dedicated funding for that project, it's for that project unless we decide otherwise what to do with it. I can just think of a couple.
One coming to mind is we did $60,000 last year for something in the planning department. Those funds were set aside for something specific. I don't know, it was a project we were going to do. Some of the Eastern Regional Center or helping the community somehow through the planning department. That's
I
one
don't
coming to
recall.
mind.
I do recall we set aside some money for study on Barbary Street.
Okay.
And I don't think we've done anything with that.
Yeah.
I forgot how much it was.
I forget the funding on that.
And we also set aside money for Gill Street Park. And I don't know where we are with that. So before we start asking for money to do other things with, I think we need to show the citizens that what we're doing with the money we already say we want to spend.
Got it. Yeah.
So those funds will roll back into the general fund, but if they aren't going to roll back into the general fund, then yeah, like we need a little bit more status updating to happen so that we have a good idea, like, is this project no longer a priority to staff and why? Is there a reason why we haven't moved forward? What is it? Are we going to continue into the next fiscal year still trying to accomplish what was set forth in a prior year? And how does that look?
Yeah, but I would say just to be clear, sometimes a lot of work goes into a project before anything is seen. So, but that's definitely something that we will check into and give you a status update on those projects. So, yeah.
Like you said, just a little bit of updates here and there, we'll be fine.
All right, next question is, and this is the final question, do you agree the upcoming budget retreat should focus on identifying the board's top budget priorities for the next fiscal year? I see your hand raised.
The only reason I'm raising my hand is because I want to get clarification, and we had a small discussion about it earlier. So we're talking about the upcoming budget retreat and the discussion that we had. That's why I just want to share it so the board knows what we discussed. I was not under the impression that the retreat that we were planning was for a budget retreat. This was supposed to be a retreat that was solely focused on team building and, again, what we talked about earlier, the goals of the board and the direction that we're moving in. And so it came as a surprise to see that question of it being considered a budget retreat for the board's priorities, top priorities. I think that needs to be something separate. So that's why I wanted to discuss before we dive into this deeply.
Okay.
Is that the understanding of the rest of the board?
That was my understanding too as well. It was more of a team building and not just solely focused on the budget. It was like, I visualized just getting somewhere where we have yet to kind of what I call have that jelly moment with each other, where we're not just we are focusing on town business, but also where we can kind of get each other's thoughts in a different format, and in a different place.
And I should say, not to cut you off, but I should say the part that I left out, what we also discussed, I said I could see where it was going because our goals can reflect the difference in the funding of the budget, so I understand that, but it just seems like it needs to be two different. The first retreat that we need to have needs to be the vision of the board and the team building, and then from there we can go ahead and discuss our vision for a budget retreat.
I don't think you're going to have enough time to do a team building retreat before you are going to have that budget done. I think your time is running out. It's already the end of February. And, we haven't done.
Remind us, Ms. Bat. Don't remind us, Commissioner Clark.
I know, but that's what we as a board need to remember, that I know we need team building. Yes, we do. But in order to do that budget, we need to do that budget retreat first. That's my opinion.
Commissioner Harrison.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I do. I think that we need to focus on identifying the community's top budget priorities for the next fiscal year.
Got it. Thank you. Any other discussion regarding this question, this last question?
I think it all kind of still going to tie in that community engagement is going to be the priorities of the board too as well. So somehow we're going to figure out how we can kind of intertwine the two. They're going to overlap either way, I think. The vision of the community is going to be part of that budget and board and stuff like that. So I think somewhere we can find that happy medium, I call it, between all of us. And at the same time, team build, get a chance to kind of get to know of each other on a different level or whatever it may be and kind of work together. I think that's an opportunity.
Yeah, and
It's homework
Yeah.
to go out in the community and
Ask people to engage, community engagement.
gotcha. Yes, Commissioner Baxter.
So as far as a budget retreat, focusing on just on the board's top budget priorities, yes, we can talk about budget priorities. I mean, of course, we need to also have staff in on this because they've got needs that they need to discuss with us. And I don't want this to devolve into pet projects and personal agendas. I want to make sure that we are focusing on what overall the community needs. So maybe it's just the wording of this question that is a little bit tricky for me, but I do want to make sure that we are hearing from staff and prioritizing that way.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, did you have a response to this question?
Well, most municipalities start their retreat in December, and they finished in January. So I think in the future, the earlier we start on it, the better. I know that's putting pressure on the staff, but it also, by the time we get into the heart of the budget, we pretty much got a direction in which we want to be in. And it would also cause for us not to have as many meetings because we started early. If you start early, you don't have to kind of push it. That's just a recommendation.
Right, nobody wants to have 17 meetings in May.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Right.
I'm just going to put that out there.
That's true.
I would like that not to happen. If it needs to happen this year, that's fine. But of course, like for me, what I see ultimately, and what I believe probably staff is doing already, is like a continual budget building process continually throughout the year. They're identifying what their needs are, their future casting. But as a board member, I would like to be given as much kind of leeway and time to like understand what our needs are and what the thoughts of staff, you know, where that's going. So just us trying to start this whole process earlier would be super fantastic. I know that right now we're kind of behind the 8 ball already. I get it. And so we're just going to do the best that we can for this year. But this I think is our opportunity to just kind of put out there what we would like to see moving forward. And so at least for me, that's what I'm doing.
Right.
All right, awesome,
Thank you so much. So the last question is, this is from me, was this exercise helpful at all?
Say it again.
That's not on my paper.
Exercise helpful?
Oh, I didn't see that. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think that it was, because that way, like, you have an understanding of what our desires and expectations are, and we're able to make sure that we're kind of all either thinking the same thing, or if somebody's got something else, like, at least we're hearing it so that it doesn't surprise us when we move into budget season.
I think it's almost simplifying it as well, the simplification of it now. The process, the questions, make it even easier. This is the part of the breaking down part, bit by bit. And this was an example of that. Question, answer, so each person knows what we're looking for. So we're not kind of like you said, hit from the side, like, oh, what's going on? We all know what's going on. That's it, I agree. It was helpful.
It was helpful and it was needed.
So thank you.
Good. Well, thank you so much for that. I wanted to just kind of gauge where you were what went well, what didn't go so well, what things we can improve on. So that way, as your manager, I get a clear expectation and a clear vision, because as you know, your vision drives this budget, and so I need that vision to be clear. I need the direction to be clear, so that when I come before you in the coming months, there's no surprises. We all know which direction that we're headed in, and so I appreciate your participation in this process. I'll take this information back to Dream Builders, and we will come before you once again and get some more feedback on what type of retreat you're looking for, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is status and update on the strategic plan grant?
Recognize Assistant Town Manager Kellyanne Williams.
So this update is actually really, really quick. Essentially, it's been a couple of meetings since the grant policy was approved. So wanted to let you know the application is live. The promotion campaign will start. And then we will also make mention of it at the Talk with the Town event. And you guys aren't too far behind the 8 ball on that. It went live today, which is why we wanted to bring it forward to you. We didn't want something to be on the street and you all not to be aware.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so, yeah, just it worked out really well to be able to give you all that update. And if you look at your packet, specifically on page 5 of the new grant policy, you'll get to see a new grant timeline. And I think that's the part I just would call to your attention the most, so that if you are wanting to share with members of the community, you would be able to see that you would be able to share with them what's the new timeline, when they should get their application in, so on and so forth.
I'm sure it's in here somewhere. The point of contact, if they have any questions, concerns as they navigate the process, is there like a one point of contact or something like that that's in this process?
Yeah, so we set up a new email address for this process, because this is really your grant. This is the board's grant to give, and so that would live with the board, and we have the contact as clerk@townofzebulon.org. However, normally the clerk would do this in conjunction with our finance department, and so we're going to have some extended leave in our finance department this year during the process. So Parks and Rec is probably going to help out a lot. Sheila, as you all know, is very familiar with these types of grant processes, but the contact is clerk. The actual person that you might get a hold of might be a team effort, if that makes sense. So yeah, that contact information is in the grant policy. And then, for example, I might lead the interest meeting to just share with folks who are interested more about the grant. But again, it might be our Parks and Rec Department, Director Long, assisting with maybe some of the day-to-day questions, responding from the clerk account. And of course, we would include our town clerk, Lisa Markland, in this as well. So it's going to be a joint effort, specifically with having, just kind of having to divide and conquer a bit more this year.
I think it's just to take as much as the intimidating part of grants that we can, make it as user-friendly as possible. That's going to be key. And we're kind of focusing on everybody. There again, the noise of the few will not make the decisions for the many. So I just want everybody to have access to that grant.
Absolutely. And so to that end, if you all recall, the grant has, the strategic plan process has a component of this where you all actually appoint a committee member. Each of you gets to place a committee member. So I'm just going to put that out to you to start thinking about who it is you would want to place on that committee, and we're going to follow up with you via email to get that information, to get that name and contact information of who you want to serve on the committee. So to your point, Commissioner Miles, the opportunity for some direct representation on who's reviewing this and who's helping with the process will be, kind of an extension of yourself. And then so when it gets in front of the board again, that, you will know it's been double vetted, well, really triple vetted at that point. It'll be vetted by the staff, it'll be vetted by your committee, and there will be recommendations coming before you that you all should be able to consider and have some faith in.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Kellyanne.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions, comments from the board? Thank you. Next on the agenda, community garden discussion. Commissioner Miles?
Here, basically, what I was looking to do, it's a project that we've been looking at for some time now, kind of trying to implement and find out how we can do it. What I like to kind of get some feedback from my fellow commissioners of what it would look like if we were trying to implement a community garden somewhere. I know spring is right around the corner. I don't know if it's something we can move on as fast and exponentially as spring is so close, but I would definitely like to start having that conversation now, what it would look like. I know I've done a little research on a few places that I see could potentially be as temporary holding spots, but just definitely want seeking, like I said, input from my fellow commissioners on this.
Can you give us more input, your vision, what you're desiring? And
What I visualize, first of all, one of the key things that it's going to be community driven, so it's less on staff as possible. That's going to be key, community driven, where we find how we can make sure the community is definitely, it's a community garden, it's just that. Where it's kind of like I said, you have a liaison between the community, whatever it may be, between us and the town of Zebulon. We find a location, provide that location, what that looks like, and kind of like whatever potential financing, definitely keeping it reasonable what it is to get the garden started or what it may be. So what that looks like, that's pretty much where I'm at now. But I do know a couple of locations that potentially will work, either as permanent or temporary spots is what I've looked at.
When you say,
Go ahead, please.
I was just going to ask you, citizen-driven, are you looking for it to be funded through the town?
We would have to supply some, that initial head, it would be something come out of the pot. What that would look like, I don't know.
I think that this is a great project for our sustainability board to be considering. And so I'm not sure that it would be something that we could get launched for spring planting season, but because I still think that we need to do a little bit of a site analysis to make sure that, the sites that we have available and the one that we choose has like the best light for growing. It has accessibility for water, that, like we need to make sure that the site selection is going to be meaningful, so that, perhaps when we look at like, is there, going to be parking? Is there going to be 24-hour access? Is there ability to keep it lit to a certain point? Like we would need to think about like, there would need to be parameters to set up a community garden. But, like I've loved this idea for a while, and I've tried to get something like this launched in the past, and it just wasn't something that seemed to have much traction. So if this is where we're going to go, I fully support it. I think that it's a great idea, but I also think that we're going to need a little bit of a cost analysis with a site survey, because each location's probably going to be a little bit different, and then we'll need to, like, as I said, something that maybe the sustainability board could be thinking about is like, are we going to be doing raised beds? I would recommend yes, that usually with community gardens has a lot of success. But I love the idea, and I think that we should definitely maybe find out what the potential cost would be, have a little pot that we build into the budget just to like create the space and get it off the ground. And then like, I would love to see this housed under the sustainability board so that they could really work up a plan to get it off the ground and launched.
I can see that. I can see that.
when you say community garden, do you mean like food or like flowers or
Well,
everything?
it's everything. What it would do, kind of like, I visualize having different, like, say, raised beds or whatever it may be. Say you have a citizen that enjoys flowers, because I think we had a citizen coming forward talking about a butterfly garden, something like that. So you could implement that butterfly garden, then somebody wants some potatoes or cucumbers or watermelons or whatever it may be, the same concept. It's somewhere, I feel it's somewhere where we can bring the community together, coming in for a common cause for the greater good of all. That's going to be key.
I love the idea. When you think along the lines of food, I definitely love the idea
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the rising cost of
Correct.
groceries. However, I was also thinking that when we're talking about location or like looking at sites, so where we could possibly put it, ensuring that it's in a part of our town where there is a need.
Correct.
If that makes sense, not that, because you have, our big communities that have a lot of different amenities, a lot of different things that
Gotcha.
you can and cannot do.
Right.
So ensuring that if we were to do something like this, that it was in a part of town that it's going to be used,
Correct.
it's needed,
Correct.
and they want it, and the
Right.
community that is needed in that
Right.
area want it in that area. So that
I
would,
agree.
I
I think that's good. And
like-
just to maybe answer your question about what could be grown there, having participated in community gardens in other places where I've lived, usually it works out that like you get a raised bed that there's a process for that bed to become yours for a season, or however it works with the agreement that you sign an agreement. There are parameters around like what kind of pesticides and herbicides can be used, and then you have that little plot to take care of, and you can grow whatever you want on it. So if you want to grow flowers or vegetables or edible flowers and ornamental vegetables, I don't know if that exists, probably not. But if you like the look of vegetables, maybe it does. But usually it's a plot. And there might be, 20 plots inside the garden, and then, that becomes yours for the season.
There's other municipalities that's done it, so I would like to give a directive staff to as well, get you guys thoughts on it, where they can kind of take a look at some of the other municipalities that's already done it, community garden, and kind of get some ideas from there. Yep. As well as at the same time find out potential land that the town owns, where potential spots that we can put them. I know a few, but I don't want to put it, and that's not my job to say.
Sure.
But find some of the lot spots that we own and kind of go from there.
And
Unless,
so-
go ahead.
I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
No, unless staff wants them, just a few spots that I know potentially can work, but you know what I'm saying, that's up to you guys.
I would also love to see if it's ever come up amongst staff. Like, has it been a conversation? Have we looked at doing this before? Is it something that we already have looked into? I mean, you don't have to answer that now, but as we move on, like, is it something that's on the horizon or that has been looked at? Has a site been looked at? Anything like that?
We've had small garden space at the community center and in community park before, but as far as it being necessarily a community garden, that's not been how it was presented and how it was taken care of. But we have done that, raised beds for vegetable growing before. So, like
Where was the location?
By the baseball field. One was
over
out
by the baseball field in community park, and then if you're looking at the entrance of the community center on the right-hand side, there were raised beds for that. So I mean, it's something that like staff has some, Parks and Rec has some familiarity with, so they can probably lend a hand as far as information.
I think even with that one at the community center, I talked to the gentleman, it was an Eagle Scout. I think he got his Eagle badge or whatever that was with those raised beds. I think a total of 4 he built. And I kind of sat there and talked to the young man and his dad. So they're excited like that. So that's the opportunity. That's when I mean, say, community driven. We give opportunities like that where
The
actually,
location, though, that we could go back, that's what I'm asking, is it a location that we can reuse?
that's going to be a
revitalize?
few, that's going to be with staff getting some locations for us potentially, looking at different locations that we have. Because I know there are a few, but just there's opportunities that we may not
Having
have.
access to water is going to be really key, so that people don't have to bring
Yeah.
jugs of water with them, because it's super hard to do that. And then we would be discriminating against people that have disabilities or are aged or infirm. So we want to make sure that it is as accessible as possible. So I'd like to make sure that it is, like when we do look for sites, that it has accessibility for water. Okay, thanks. But thank you for bringing this up. Like, I'm excited to have this conversation since it's something that, for me anyway, it's been in my heart for a while. So this is awesome.
I think, like, reason being too, for past community engagement, things we've had, everything I've seen has always come up on the topic, but it's never moved forward. And I was looking at the
true.
board now in our room, it still has that same thing, it's a community garden. I'm like, it hasn't gone
discussed
anywhere,
it in
so
the
now
past.
this is opportunity, we move forward with it.
What's our next step so we
Next
can
step is
to
staff,
make it happen?
to my understanding, staff's got, well, I'm leading it with.
Yes, sir. So just to clarify, is this something you are asking staff to look into or the sustainability board?
I think that we should push this to the sustainability board and have that be one of their objectives. I mean, certainly they'll be working with staff, to get
Yes.
to get that done. But instead of asking staff to dedicate all the time, it might be, it could be a good, awesome place to house it.
I think staff's going to have to come in some play in the beginning a little bit because the strategic, where they can bring the information for us where possible locations could be. Your strategic board is not going to have the
sustainability
board is not going to have that information. So staff's going to have to play a part in it. And I think that the earlier we have that information, so once we get that board in place, they can hit the ground running with it. That's what I would like to see.
A really great opportunity and a really good initiative to start our sustainability board, like a project for them. I think it's a really good opportunity because there are a lot of things that we'll have to look at that needs to be put into place to maintain the sustainability of our community as well, and that's the purpose of the sustainability board. So I think it's a good opportunity as an initiative for them with staff direction.
Okay, so just for clarification, are you asking staff to come back with you with the feasibility of installing and maintaining a community garden?
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt to come out with some numbers or figures or something like that.
Okay.
Kind of give us, as you said, if we're going to implement this budget, it gives us some areas to kind of look at. Like I said, my key thing is just figuring out where we get started at, somewhere we get started. Please.
Right, yeah, so I'm not positive for this budget season.
It's not going to cost a lot,
Yeah.
and I think that when it gets down to brass tacks, we'll be able to find the money, even if we have to go out into the community to look for some donations or whatever. But
So just to clarify, you want me to come back with the feasibility study and letting you know the feasibility of locating a potential and installing a community garden.
And the potential cost.
Is that the will of the board?
Now we're always talking about community input and what the community has to say about. I think this would be an ideal opportunity to see what the community's input is on such a project.
And to that end, Mr. Mayor, the survey that we mentioned earlier, they did have those types of initiatives on that survey, and so we would be able to get that type of feedback back from the public. So
that's fine. I also think that you guys probably already have the list of town property. So I mean, doing, like just giving us a list of sites, that could probably happen without too much staff time. But for me, I'd like to see this in the sustainability board and to have that program get developed there. That's just my thought.
This year, I don't want to put it off another year.
Yeah, I agree with the sustainability board. That should be one of their projects.
And
Well, I agree with Shannon. I think it's something that it's not going to happen for the spring. But this community needs to realize that it's their garden and it's not, the town is not taking care of it. And, it's got to be theirs. It's not something that we finance, and I guess we probably do the
That initial.
beds and the dirt, and then it's,
We get it started.
But that's the key thing. What I visualize is this: that we do assist it getting off the ground, And then your citizens engagement is going to happen. You have ranging from your steel magnolias to whatever. I've already spoken like their president, different other organizations that's willing to jump in. So the desire is there. So it's just a matter.
And the desire is there, but maybe we just need to slow down a little bit and think about it and not just, talk to so many people and get it.
That's where your
Get
board
them
is going to
upset.
come in. That's where your sustainability board is going to come in. So it's not
Good,
gonna,
and they're going to be their job.
correct. That's what we're saying the same thing.
Okay.
We're literally saying the same thing.
I think we are saying similar things. I think that the difference is, do we let the idea and some of the parameters originate from the sustainability board, or do we take some ideas to the sustainability board? And what I heard, one of the very first things that I heard when we began discussing this is, let it be community driven.
Correct.
And so if it's community driven, it seems like it should originate from giving it as a topic to the sustainability board and letting them, no pun intended, let it blossom from the sustainability board as one of their first topics, which we're looking to seat the sustainability board really soon. And honestly, because of the timing, I'm not seeing the rush, because we know it's not something we can implement for this growing season, but that sustainability board will be in place and able to let us know what their direction is. Maybe they don't want it on town property. Maybe they want it in a vacant lot in the neighborhood that someone's willing to donate.
That's what we're going to run. That's what I don't want to do, where it's going to be pigeonholed, where it becomes somebody else's pet project, where everybody don't have accessibility to it. So if you put it on town property, it's going to make it where it's accessible to everybody.
I was only offering that if it's something that we want the community to have input on, sometimes, and if I could offer, I don't want to assume that Zebulon's experience will be experiences that I've had in the past, but in 2 communities that I've worked in, one of them was that a private landowner donated a vacant lot to be the community garden. It was a vacant lot that everyone complained about because a beautiful home had been demolished on that lot. And so in order to make a good outcome out of a bad outcome, which is that there was a demolished lot there. I think we are all familiar with a home that has been demolished that was pretty prominent, that had been condemned in the community. Perhaps that is a great place where a beautiful outcome could come from a vacant lot. I'm just saying. And that was a very successful place to have the community garden, because the community was more bought in. When I've been a part of communities where community gardens have been on town property, the energy is there at the onset of the community garden, but as soon as that energy wanes, the community realizes that the town will keep this up, because the town has to keep it up because it's town property. And so when that happens, that first couple of years, there's beautiful pictures, there's beautiful outcomes, but then, a couple years later, it's not as successful. So I'm trying to echo back to you all what I thought I understood, which is let it be community driven, and the sustainability board would allow it to originate from there and blossom from there, and they could give us direction from there.
I think we're going to have a hope that initial leg is going to have to come a big push from the town. Somewhat that's getting aware of that location. I still say that location. I understand somebody donating land or what it may be, but I visualized it. I just wanted to make sure, for me, that it's community, that's town land, and we can what if scenarios all day long. 2 years down the road, we'll deal with that when we come. Certain things just going to have to get it off the ground. I know, like you said, from your past experiences, I respect that, but I think for here in the town of Zebulon, as we're growing now, and the information that I'm getting from citizens, there's enough excitement to make it work. So it's just a matter of how we figure it out. And I understand the strategic board will take care of it, but I think we're going to have to bring some information to that board.
Explore all options.
That was exactly.
That's basically what we're looking for.
Direction too as well. So what do you need from us, sir?
Yeah, I need some clarity. What is the will of the board?
Sustainability board project.
I would like for them
That's my opinion. That's just my opinion.
I think it's going to be some information. We bring that to some information to the sustainability board is what I'm looking at. Possible location, and then potentially a cost that we're looking at. That's,
Well, we can bring whatever information the Sustainability Board requests, but I think it should go, that should be their project to start, and then they could ask for resources or information, and we could assist them with that.
so how do we put it in this year's budget if that's
Because
the case?
they're going to
I know-
have to come up with a plan.
Correct.
And then, I mean, I feel like it's not going to be financially, like, it's not going to be something that's a burden for us to find the money to just put together the garden.
Even mid-year.
Mid-year, exactly. I mean, if it is something where, because right now we don't even know if this is like a $5,000 financial outlay or if this is a $25,000 financial outlay. So really, I think that this needs to go to the Sustainability Board, but with the direction from the board that this is something that we would like them to pursue.
And come back with cost or some ideas.
Yeah,
yes.
correct.
So you just gave vague terms. Elaborate a little bit for me now? They come back what now?
Well, the cost, I don't think that, this is taxpayers' money, and not all taxpayers are going to want to finance a garden. So, I mean, to start it off, yes, to get the beds built and things, but I think, the citizens are going to have to take
We've established that, but you said,
responsibility.
that was established from the one. No, I said that was established from the start.
Okay.
Your ultimate desire then is what, Commissioner?
The ultimate desire is that we get some information on what a community garden looks like for the town of Zebulon.
Okay.
With the Sustainability Board come in, they're not going to have access to that knowledge, everything far as what land the town owns, what a potential cost, and what it would look like, rules and regulations.
It won't happen for you, but-
So, Mr. Mayor, if I could I just get a poll of, what the will of the board is? And
I would like this to be an initiative that we give, a directive that we give to the Sustainability Board.
So with that, what do you visualize that, given to Sustainability, what are they to bring back, and what are they to have in your, when you say that?
That they would be the ones to gather information on site selection, that they would be the ones to create the parameters of like what the rules are going to look like. Because the garden's not going to be open 24 hours a day, I'm assuming. It's probably going to be open between certain hours. Like they need to, like, what's the application process going to be? What are things that they can do in the garden? What are things that we hope not to do in the garden? And I think that needs to be like the purview of the Sustainability Board. That's my thought.
And at that time, they'll bring back a budget to the town, and we take it and go from there. Is that what you're telling us?
Sure, that can happen.
We're really back at square one. There's nothing been moved.
No, I mean, so I have this feeling that you just want us to say, yes, we're going to do it, and we're going to outlay the money here, but like for me, like this is an opportunity for our Sustainability Board to run with this, and like right now, continuing this discussion is making me feel a little bit uncomfortable, like I'm being strong-armed. I would love for this to happen, but I feel like I don't understand what you need to feel comfortable.
Before we can move forward with any steps, even pushing it to the Sustainability Board, we need to make sure that the community wants it. So the
Agreed.
first step needs to
In
be
those
getting a
projects.
survey or something together to ensure. I know Commissioner Miles speaks to the community. I'm sure that it is a need of the community, but we just sat here and went through like 30 minutes of ensuring that we have priorities for our community. And so before we implement spending $1 of community money, we need to ensure that it's something that the community wants. We need to know, we need to survey our community, and we need them to tell us.
So can you add a couple more
Yes.
questions to the survey?
Yeah, that would be great.
I do
That would be
think
great.
that, I do
Nobody's
think
gonna want a
that
survey.
the desire is there because it has popped
Yeah.
up several times when we've done those boards for the community. So I do think that is something that the community is interested in. But if we push it out to a broader survey, then we can get a real, like, we can gauge
So the survey as
what
it's,
the people would like. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. The survey as it's designed today does ask a question specific to the prioritization of a community garden. And so we'll be sharing that with you all soon, so you'll be able to see it. But it is something that we wanted to be mindful, realizing that there was some general interest. We were aware that it has come up in various workshops in the past. So it is a question we're going to be able to get at in the budget survey that we'll be sending out shortly. So I think you'll have that feedback here really, really soon. And so if we just continue with the poll, not to continue to, I guess, belabor this point, I'm hearing the Sustainability Board from Commissioner Baxter. You wouldn't want the staff to necessarily give directions for the community garden initially, but just task the Sustainability Board with that discussion, correct?
Knowing that staff is probably going to have to provide information and help along
Once
the way.
requested.
Yes.
Understood. So we'll put it on the agenda for the Sustainability Board. Commissioner Miles, did you?
With that.
You're good with that? Okay, so we will let it originate from the Sustainability Board, and as they request more information from staff, we will provide it to the board.
Also take the opportunity to 27th, when you meet the town, that's a great opportunity to mention it as well. We're going to have community engagement there, so there's an opportunity. Hopefully we have a packed house. That's a great opportunity, so we can make sure somewhere on the 27th that we talk about a community garden in your whatever dialogue there is, we make sure that happens.
So at the talk with the town, we are going to discuss that there is an opportunity to put your application in to join the Sustainability Board. And we are also going to let everyone know during the Talk of the Town event that an upcoming budget prioritization survey is going to be circulated to them, and that one of the topics will be community gardens.
Perfect. Perfect.
Will that meet what you need,
Perfect.
Commissioner Miles? Perfect. Wonderful. Mayor, you said Sustainability Board, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir. And Commissioner Harrison? Sustainability Board. Commissioner Clark? Yes, ma'am. Sustainability Board. Commissioner Davis? Awesome. Thank you, guys. We just want to be sure what you were looking for there.
Thank you, Commissioner Miles, for bringing this up, and for having us engage in a discussion about it, because it's something that I've had in my heart for years, and so it's good to I'm excited about the Sustainability Board, because we're going to be able to address these projects. Thank you, and thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
All right.
But you can have it back. I don't know how strong
Thank you,
I'm
thank you,
black.
thank
I don't know how they do it, but you
Where
can have
muscles
it back.
come from.
Oh, he's got muscles.
Yeah.
Or can I have a moment, please?
Sure.
I wanted to let you know that this is my official notice that I'll be retiring April 1st. My last day will be March 21st, and I just wanted to thank the town of Zebulon for the opportunity that has been offered to me to serve this community and to serve the citizens. And, almost all of the 27 years that I've been here have been great years. I hate to say that since 2025 came, it has not been as good, but I love that this community, that I've been given the opportunity. It's been an honor and a true privilege to serve the citizens and the employees of this community. And so I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for your service. Next on the agenda is closed session. Is there a motion?
Can I make a motion, but can we do a short break beforehand?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, well,
All right.
I'll do
So
that.
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session.
Okay. All right. 5 minutes, and we're going next door.
Okay, thank you.
5-minute recess.